What's going on, fellas? This is Sir Studmuffin, leader of Affliction. This is going to be my second attempt at making this video after I made a 25-minute video on both Tim and TP's bass. Tim changed his bass though, so that's alright. I like this bass better anyways. The old bass had a lot of issues with it. However, this bass still has issues itself, and we're going to go ahead and look at them. So, first things to notice, I always look at it. Where are your builder huts? Are they in the corners? Are they not? So he's got 3 huts, and they're in the corners, and that's just the first thing. So we're going to make sure to take all of these out right here. It's a simple archer drop per hut. So let's just go ahead and draw that out real quick. So that's the first thing I'm looking at here. Second thing I'm looking at here is where's this archer queen? It's right here, so I know that she's probably going to go around. Her circle is going to be something like that, and probably the best entry on her is right here in this pocket right there. So just something to consider, especially for Golaloon. Reason for that being, the queen is something that needs to be taken out in a Golaloon attack, and that's why I'm looking at that. She's also right over the archer tower, which is, or archer, air defense, which is a huge plus for an enemy attacker. So that's just something to consider. I'd probably try and change that. Other thing I would note here, something to just know in the future, if these are Teslas right here, and I start the raid right when she's on one of those, she'll be frozen for the rest of the raid. So just something to consider. I don't think Tim would do that, but he might have. I'm not gonna try it out this war. They might have changed it from when I've been gone, but I know that that was something when I was back, 2 months ago. So um, just off that fact, I'm gonna run a Golaloon attack on this base. The other attack that I would probably use, it's too spread out for Goho. I mean, you see all these little, um, you know, uh, pockets right here, 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 here. I mean, you can just see how many pockets there are to this base. So it's definitely not a Goho attack. Not really a Hogo Wee Wee for the same reason. For a logo wipe, air defenses aren't centralized enough. Um, so, if you break into the core, then you can't really reach the air defenses. So I'm looking at a Surgical Hog or a Golaloon attack. Because of where the queen is located, I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to use a Golaloon attack. I'm also looking at I keep calling them archer towers. These air defenses outside. The air defenses outside indicate it's probably going to be good for Golaloon. In addition, I'm looking at these sweepers. It's going to be right about like that. So the best way to counter sweepers like this that are in the core, you're going to want to work your way outside and in. Then you don't have to worry about it. You might have to worry about this one a little bit. But I'm going to do a clockwise formation Golaloon attack on this base. And I'm going to show you kind of what I'm thinking for my attack. Kind of plan through it. I already have a plan already. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of break down the base a little bit, show you how I'd approach it with Golaloon. For the numbers, actual numbers, but for this and TP's base, I'll do both Town Hall 9s in their own video. But for both of these videos, I'm just going to show you what I'm thinking, but the actual numbers, I'm going to have to crunch and figure out, do I want to drop a minion for this or whatever. So I'm not going to do actual numbers, but just kind of initial thoughts. So we're going to keep with this red. Actually, no, we'll do pink. We'll do pink. So what I'm thinking is, judging by the base, probably not going to use or sorry, I didn't talk about this, but because of his, let me see, let me just circle this real quick. Because of the CC right here, the range, not like that. Probably going to be a little larger. Range for the CC, something like that. Probably not going to break outside the outside barrier. So basically what he was trying to do is make sure that you can't bait his CC. So I'm not going to. And you don't necessarily have to in a Golaloon attack. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use a Rage spell for that. Now, it looks like my video might have paused here. So let me give it a sec. There we go. All right. So we're going to start from this bottom right compartment. This looks like the best entry for this base. Um, he does have some free structures outside, and that's just something to note. But I'm going to enter from this bottom right compartment. I'll have to look and see if I want to exploit these outer defenses. They're kind of sitting on the outside. I'm not a fan of these, to be honest, in base designs. I just feel like, you can drop a few giants or something like that. It might have spring traps around them, but I mean, they're not covered by walls. They're outside the base. If this air defense doesn't hit that, I'm definitely hitting uh, two balloons right there and taking that out real quick. I'm gonna have to check the range on that, but that's just something to look at there. Anyways, I'm gonna enter from this bottom right. We're gonna drop 3 wall breakers, so that's 3 WB. You need 3 for level. These are level 5 wall breakers, and you're gonna need 3 of those for level 9 walls. So clearly he's been attacked from this area. That's why he has it like this. Might have a few traps up the sleeve here, so I might bring 4 to be safe. Maybe 5. We'll see. But I'm definitely going to enter in that compartment. That looks like the weak point of this base. You're going to want to figure out your funnel troops. So for funnel, I'm looking at... See, this cannon over here is kind of annoying. For your funnel, depending on this, though, I would probably go with a minion right here for my funnel. And same thing over here with this. So I'd probably try and consolidate it a little bit. It's a little difficult, though. This archer tower is going to be a bit annoying. So I'm either going to go here or I'm going to go here. With either a minion or a whiz. Haven't decided. It's going to depend on the ranges, which I can't really see. I'm probably gonna bring some witches and stuff like that. So probably 2 witches. And that's gonna be kind of your kill squad. You're gonna enter right into here. Drop your heroes and whatever. Hopefully you guys know the deal on that. If you haven't, watched some of my other videos. For those of you old members, drop a jump spell right there to get into this compartment. Remember to always air the jump spell towards your troops because the jump spell has a little bit more of a push, and if you have the troops enter the jump spell area, they can even jump to this queen area over here. So I'm probably going to drop them like that, something like that. Regardless, though, she'll go right over the air defense. This is going to be a definite cold-blooded go all in attack. The reason for that being his expos. There's not a whole lot of DPS that are going to hit that golem. Looks like he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so he's got 5 different single defense buildings. And those are cannons and arch towers. So I'm just looking at like right here. These 5 there. Those are probably going to be hitting my golem. However, I'm taking 2 of them pretty quickly. Might be able to get these 2 exposed one fairly easily. So that's just something I'm considering. But you only need 1 golem, definitely. The expos are really what chew the golems up. This one might hit it, but they're kind of low. So still not going to use Shattered on this base. I'm definitely thinking cold-blooded. So anyhow, next step we're looking at here is... And we're going to make this green also. Let me go ahead and back off these annotations. The next step we're bringing here, definitely a rage spell because we're not baiting. So since we're not baiting, we're bringing a rage spell, dropping it like that. Not going to be that big, but you get the picture. Then we're going to start looking at the hounds. I'm going to be trying to bring a 3 hound on this. I'm going to drop my angles like this, this, and this. With a go all in attack, you want them to be in different angles. You want them to kind of go around the base, and you're going to want to make sure to time it like that too. So I'm going to drop here. Once my troops kind of hit a line, let's go ahead and draw this line. Once they hit about right here, I'm going to drop the second one, and then once they drop right here, then I'm going to move the third one in. And you want that to have the tanking. They're going to move around. This Lava Hound is going to path to there, and then they're going to move their way around to the third one. So those are just some things to consider. For my numbers, usually with your numbers, you want to drop, I would say around 2 per archer tower, 1 per non-archer tower. But anyways, gonna definitely go 1 here. Actually, we're probably gonna drop 3 like that. So we're gonna drop 1 in the cannon, 3 on the air defense. That should be able to clear this area right here. We're gonna drop 2 here, 1 here, 1 here. That's 4 over here. So this is 4 over here, 4 over here right now. This might be a little pricey in terms of the troop number, so we're gonna have to look at that. But we're looking at 2 here, and I'm looking at 2 here, 2 here. We're probably gonna add, because of this air defense. The air defenses you kind of need to add. Air defenses, you're going to need to add a little more. So I would probably say drop 3 here and drop something like that. So that's what, 4, 7. With those numbers, that's 8, 15. That's 17 loons right there. With 3 hounds, 17 loons. 17 times 5 is going to be, let's see if I got my math right, 85, 90. So that's 175 space that you just took up already. You're going to use a CC golem. And if you had 24 for 2 witches, that's going to be something like 199. You got about 21 space left over. So it might be a little heavy on the balloons. I might need to scale that back a little bit. We'll have to figure that out. But I mean, or I might scale back these witches and go from 2 witches to 1. We'll see. So, gonna have to play with the numbers a little bit, but that's kind of what I'm looking at in this base. You're taking out 1 air defense pretty quickly. You're taking out the queen. It's fairly easy. Don't necessarily need a whole lot of whiz. I'd say probably 5 whiz total. If you drop the rage spell in there, you're gonna get some more out of it. Might even be able to get, a sweeper out of it. Might be able to get to the core. So you're gonna be able to do a lot with that. So that's kind of what I'm looking at on Tim's base. We're gonna go ahead and go to the second base, because I don't want to make this video too long. I mean, here was my plan for his base before. I mean, look how in depth that is. But anyhow, we're gonna go to TP's base, and I've already looked at this once. Kind of what I already decided. 2 ways to look at this base. Number 1, you're gonna want to enter through there probably. Something to consider here. Nothing in the corners, so definitely note that. But what I'm looking at here, this Archer Queen, she will probably not jump in this compartment. That's why it has it like that. She may or may not. It's kind of dicey. So that's something I'm looking at there. It's going to be a little difficult in that regard. So you might need to enter from here or here. But he's got 2 air defenses. So if you're going to use a Golal Loon, you need to use Shattered in that sense. If you're going for 2, always use Shattered. Plus he's got the 2 Expos in range. All this DPS right here. And it looks like he's got all his cannons kind of out here. So those cannons are free structures, actually, if you're able to reach the core and take out those 2 air defenses. So that's just something I'm already considering, meaning a logo wipe, because all of these, look at this trash ring right here. All of that right there is easily susceptible to a logo wipe attack or loons in that regard. So that's just something I'm considering off the bat. If I'm going to use a Shattered, though, definitely going to enter through here. Take out these. Take out the 2 air defenses, most certainly. And let's just go ahead and close annotation. So take out these 2 air defenses. Might be able to get probably something like that. You might be able to take all that out. Just depends on your heroes, though. But I don't think my heroes are strong enough. So we're actually going to try a surgical hog attack on this base from what I'm seeing. In a surgical hog, then I'm going to enter. You're going to want to enter from one of the expos. So probably this one up here. I'm going to enter from up there so I can reach the queen this way. So I'm trying to get to like right in this compartment. Therefore, I'm going to jump my troops right about here. I'm probably going to need, I can probably cover this distance with 1 jump just like that. So I'm going to consider, with the surgical hog then in this case, I'm definitely going to only use 1. This is going to be a cold-blooded, so 1 golem. It's going to be a little difficult to bait, but from how things are going a lot lately, it doesn't seem a whole lot of people are baiting. So here's the thing though about this. The problem I have with the not baiting aspect. Um, Number one, if you don't bait, you have to use a rage spell. So that's going to take you a spell down. If you bring a poison spell and they have the troops that you can use with the poison spell, you're losing a haste spell or something like that. It's probably not even going to be that effective. So those are just some things I'm considering, but I'm definitely, let's change this to green. If I do that, I'm definitely jumping into here like that. If it'll let me change colors. There we go. So I'm definitely going to drop a jump there. Um, if you do that, you're going to have to use 2 heal spells, and if you use 2 heal spells, let's go ahead and get this knocked out. 2 heal spells going to have to be like that, and going to have to be like that. You're going to have to cover a lot of distance with the heal spells, and he probably knows that. So the heal spells have got to be on point for this base. But if I'm doing this base with Surgical Hogs, gonna try and show you the numbers here. We're probably looking at 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that is 6, 9. That's 10 hogs. Oh shoot, that is terrible math right there. 6, 8. Lord, so that's 8 hogs right there, and we're also gonna drop a giant here, just because of how much DPS is in this area with the cannons and the archer tower. So that's first thing, and might even have to change that heal to kind of like that. So you're gonna want kind of an early heal. I'm guessing he's gonna have a giant bomb in that location. I just dropped the heal in. So next step though is the rest of your hogs, and we're dropping 3 here again, 3 here again, 2 here, 2 here, with a giant right here. Might need to adjust numbers again, but the reason I'm dropping more at the beginning is because you want those initial ones to path around because they can help the other ones. Also, so much DPS in the area, so you're going to need to bring the giant. So look at this DPS, that's right there. And then since you're entering up there, you can probably hit these two. So then the last thing you have to worry about are these over here. So I'm looking at 1 here, 3 here, 3 here. Probably wouldn't need a giant there, so I'm looking at 7 here total. That's 25 hogs right there. You can probably add a little more, maybe 3 up here, 1 there. But the heal spells are there. You can just see though why I'm looking at this, and this is the reason I'm looking at Surgical Hogs is because he has all of his point defenses on the outer ring. That is a huge Surgical Hog kind of flash. You also have your 2x4s in the core, meaning you can use 1 heal spell to take a few over. Problem is you're only using 2 heal spells. However, you're taking so much out of his outer core when you use Surgical Hogs all at once that as long as you have a few heals in the core, man, you can like run through this base so quickly. And that's why I would not run a regular Goho on this base. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. People are putting the CC kind of like that. With the CC like that, with Poison Spell now, so overpowered that really you just need to use a Rage Spell then. Just the threat of the Poison Spell, and I'm sure you've heard about this in other YouTube videos, not from me, but from other YouTubers. Just from the threat of the Poison Spell, people will not bring Witches, they will not bring, maybe not bring Wizards, definitely not Barbs and Archers, so you're not going to have to worry about a long bait. A lot of loons now. That's why you're going to use a Rage Spell, and you got to get that Queen in that Rage Spell, because the Queen's going to be the one picking off the Dragon, picking off the loons, and whatnot. So just something to consider. Definitely have to use 2 spells, though, if you're going to use the jump spell as well. So that's kind of what I'm looking on this base. That's going to complete this first video. This is the Affliction 2 TH9 bases that we have. We already lost one, actually. Gavin already left the clan. So we're actually a little down, to be honest, in this war. Our bases are probably about the same as the others. They just have a little higher troops. So it's a little unfair on our part. However, you kind of have the leader on this end. You got some of our other members that have been here for a bit. So we're gonna see how this matches up. It's just for practice, so it's all for fun. But I'm really happy we got this war kind of matched up. And the next thing we're going to be looking at here is Affliction 2 Town Hall 8 bases. In addition, though, we're going to be looking at Affliction 1 bases, probably midway through the war after I've kind of used my, really towards the end of the war, or maybe even after war. So we're going to look at those bases, kind of see what I'm thinking on those bases. Obviously, we're going to know the attacks on those bases. It's going to be a little different spin though, because I'm going to say kind of if I agree or disagree. And then I'll make a clan war recap just so everyone can kind of see attacks. So we're going to probably make 5 videos out of this base, or out of this war. I don't know if I want to upload them all at the same time. Maybe so, maybe not. Let me know what you guys think. I'll probably ask you guys on band or whatnot. Anyways, this is Sir Muffin, and I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.